If you have been following me for quite a while now, you know that my first faction cruiser was the Phantasm. I used to fly this ship alongside the RB covertops. However, I wasn't really doing PvP with the Phantasm. This was my PvE ship for missions. That is until I did lose this ship, and the first Phantasm that I lost was 4.45 billion, which at the time was really expensive. Now let's first take a look at the basic info. The ship can fit a shield field module. Advanced medium laser pressure bonus will give you plus 15% medium laser damage, plus 7.5% medium laser tracking speed. Advanced cruiser command will give you extra 25% afterburner speed and plus 5% shield. Overall, pretty unique and really solid stats. Now the module layout: 1 drone for high slots, 3 medium slots, 5 low slots, 3 combat and 3 engineering rigs, 23,000 hit points. The Phantasm is primarily a shield tank. 4,657 gigajoule is the capacitor, 600 seconds is the recharge time, 19.4 gigajoule per second is the recharge rate, ET log 7 targets, 83.3 is the signature radius, scan resolution 298 meters, warp speed 3 atomic units per second, and flight velocity 253 meters per second. The Phantasm is the fastest cruiser with an afterburner because of the skill per level bonus. And now on to the build. Now, I used to fly the Phantasm with a very weird build back in the day. At the time the game was quite different. Now the build is something like this. It has been changed quite a lot, honestly. I use pulse lasers, 1 large Nosferatu, scrambler web, 1 medium afterburner, large shield booster, medium capacitor battery, and dual adaptive hardeners, which is so far a really nice combination. As for the rigs, in the combat rigs I have 3P combat integration modules. They're focused on shield resistance as well as shield boost strength, and 1 integration is also focused on the shield capacitor usage. I have reduced the capacitor usage of the shield booster by 14%, and I think a combination like this should run really well. However, the normal rigs also run really fine. You don't really have to go with integrations if you don't have the ISK for them. And in the engineering rigs, dual auxiliary thrusters and 1 power grid rig. Here you can take a look at the base resistance stats: 16,000 hit points on the shield and about 56,000 hit points overall defense while docked. Flight velocity 455.40 meters per second. Now the Phantasm is using lasers as primary weapon, and for this ship you can use pulse crystal or focus crystal. Now the pulse crystal might be a little bit funny if you have the implant on level 45, because at level 45 the level 45 attributes will actually kill your own shield. So that might be a little inconvenience if you have this implant and if you run this ship, because the Phantasm is a shield tank, so not really smart to kill your own shield with the level 45 attribute, but the effect should be pretty nice on the primary attribute. And as for the general units, I use a combination of capacitor battery, Nosferatu, afterburner speed, and I think I also have one for... yeah, I have one for the afterburner, capacitor, and Nosferatu. Those are the 3 main units that you should equip if you have implants that can benefit the Phantasm. Okay, now let's take a look at the active stats of this
Undocking.
ship. This ship is really pretty. I really like the design of the Phantasm. There is something very unique about the look of Sancha ships, and the Phantasm might be one of the most unique and one of the best looking cruisers in the game. Okay, adaptives have been enabled, afterburner enabled. Let's take a look at what do we have on the active stats. Okay, the DPS is the same, 96,000 hit points, almost 100,000 hit points. This is a pretty tanky Phantasm. It still has pretty solid DPS, 2.8 thousand meters per second with the medium afterburner. If you like the large afterburner, that can also work, but you will have to change the engineering rigs to compensate for the high inertia that you will get. However, a large afterburner Phantasm does work for PvP very well. If you are quite skilled, then you would be using a large afterburner. 1140.11 DPS with the implant active. Now the funny part, the hilarious part, when you activate the level 45 attribute, your shield will take hits. Now I can boost my shield, but if you are constantly taking damage, this will be a big drawback, so I will be touching the level 45 attribute on this ship if you have the implant on level 45, because it will kill your own ship. And it will be funny. I'm not very sure if it would show on the kill on the last mail, but would be funny if you would actually be able to see that your own implant did damage to your shield on the last mail. Haven't tested that, but if it does appear, that's quite funny. However, the capacitor, while this is active, is actually stable. And in some cases, if you have a logistic ship that will boost shield, you can kind of use this, but I still feel like it's a little bit weird to be using this implant, the level 55 attributes of this implant on the ship. Especially because this is a shield tank ship that will be reliant on your shield to stay alive. However, you can turn it off, and I guess in some cases you can actually turn it on and off depending on when you need capacitor, which might be a interesting tactic, but yeah, I wouldn't be personally using that actively on this ship. If the Phantasm was an armor tank, this would be excellent, but the Phantasm is not an armor tank. And don't armor tank a Phantasm, it's not a good idea. Now the focused crystal implant is actually quite interesting on this ship. Can be very nice in missions. In PvP it also has the application, but the damage boost will gradually increase over time, and by the time you get full DPS, the fight might already be over. So in a camp this can work really well, but if you are actively hunting ships, then perhaps against battleships, against ships that you'll be fighting for a very long time. Now as for the units on the focused crystal implant, I would use the same combination that I had on the pulse crystal, and I will set up everything right away. So shield booster, boost them off. This unit is excellent, will improve the tankiness of the Phantasm, but it will also increase the capacitor usage. The next unit that I will slap on the second slot will be, I think it will be the capacitor battery. However, you can use the efficiency or the overheating boost. I personally like to go with the overheating boost to take advantage of the active stat of the capacitor battery while the shield booster is active, because it will not consume the main capacitor of the ship. In the next unit slot I will go with an afterburner boost to make the ship faster. The Phantasm is an excellent speed tank, very fast and very efficiently speed tanking missions and other ships in PvP. And on the last slot I would slap a Energy Nosferatu unit. However, don't worry if you don't have the implants above level 30. 2 units are also more than enough to make this ship work flawlessly. I'm just showing you the combinations that you can use on this ship. Any combination that I show you here works really well. Okay, now let's take a look at the active stats. The DPS is a little bit lower, but with Focus Crystal the DPS will gradually increase. And the transfer rate on the large Nosferatu is also really nice. This build is really tight, only a couple power grid left to be used, so I like when the fit is really tight on the power grid, which means that the build is really well made. Okay, let's orbit around the station and I'll show you the maximum possible DPS with the Phantasm using this build and using this Focus Crystal. Now the Focus Crystal on level 45 can give you extra shield or extra armor. I did set the secondary attribute to give me extra shield. Can be really useful as a panic module or a panic button in some cases. However, we're not really sure how the implant will be changed in the upcoming balance patch. The balance patch, in my estimate, will arrive probably next week. That's my guess, but we'll see. Okay, now I have 84.47 DPS at 65% of the implant, and of course this will slowly go up with every new hit that lands on the target, and well, I'll show you the maximum possible DPS that you can get on the Phantasm. 180%, 1381.66 DPS, which is pretty solid. And with a combination like this, you have decent tank, you have decent DPS, so you don't have to worry about ships that can tackle you. The Phantasm is very slippery, a very hard to catch ship. The Stratios, Ortus, Cinnabal, all of these ships have a hard time to catch a properly built Phantasm because of the afterburner bonus. It's very fast, only the Vigilant has a good chance to catch this ship if it can reach the Phantasm with the afterburner or with the micro warp drive. Okay, now to put this build and this ship to the test, I will be running Sweet Poison from start to finish. Of course,
autopilot engaged.
I'll be using the exact same ship with the exact same modules. This is the Sancha AI nanocore. I just had this laying around, so
Destination
I
reached.
decided to equip that. But even without the nanocore and even the other nanocores will do really well. I did pick the laser damage bonus on this nanocore. However, you can pick the speed bonus or you can pick the extra shield bonus. It really depends on the playstyle that you prefer with this ship. So I'm warping to the first mission, Sweet Poison 1. Okay, this is about to be fun. I haven't done a storyline mission in so long. Have no clue what to expect, have no idea what kind of ships I'm about to fight, and no idea how strong these ships will be. So, fingers crossed this build will work, and fingers crossed that I don't get yeeted. If I get yeeted, then this build is horrible. So, let's see what happens. Now, the first couple waves, if my memory is correct, were quite harmless. However, the later waves are quite serious, and I expect a lot of ships. A lot of webs and a lot of scramblers. Now, the good thing about the Phantasm is, like I mentioned before, this ship is very slippery, it's very fast. So even if you get webbed, you still will have enough inertia to get out of the web range on most ships, including on PvP ships. Now, an Ashimo might be a threat if the Ashimo is using dual webs, because, well, the Ashimo, being the vampire that the ship is, can kill your capacitor. However, since most Phantasms run capacitor batteries, and most of them run a pretty decent shield tank, they have enough time to slip away from an Ashimo. The Ashimo is one of the slowest ships, slowest cruisers in the game, so escaping an Ashimo is very easy. I wouldn't be worried about interceptors. Interceptors present basically no threat to a ship with a good build like this. They can tackle you, but they really can kill you if you know what you are doing. They will have a hard time to slow down a Phantasm that's running 2.8 kilometers per second with an afterburner. And I'm pretty sure that you can make the afterburner speed on this ship up to 3.5, 3.6 kilometers per second, and that is quite fast, so you don't have to worry about those small tackle ships. You kill them without a problem. However, Serpentis webs, yeah, that might be an issue, because Serpentis webs have that extra strength that can hold you. They will slow you down, by the way, very hard. So Serpentis ships might be a threat. That is, if they can catch you. The range on the webs is about 22.9 kilometers, 23 kilometers. So they might be one of the only threats that you might face. But if you are in the middle of a big wave of the mission, then there's a big chance that the storyline ships will go and shoot the Vigilant, which gives you enough time to escape or gives you enough time to go and yeet the pirate. However, it all depends on the situation. Now in my case, would I be worried about getting jumped in a storyline mission? Well, not really. I'm the one that's doing the jumping in missions, not the other way around. There's a chance if I would to be running around and running missions, there's a chance that everyone you look would leave. That would make the mission running actually easy, but I haven't personally done a mission in a very long time. Over 2 years, I think. This is the first time I'm doing a storyline in over 2 years. Interesting. Okay, the first wave is getting cleared. Now, you might be thinking, didn't I do a bit of a overkill on the tank on this ship? And in some cases, I would actually say yes. I feel like I did a little bit of a overkill on the tank, but the build is made to be this tanky, not because of the mission. I'm pretty sure I can speed tank everything the after, so I'm not really worried about that. It's made to be a good defense. It's made to be PvP ready in case you get jumped in the mission. When you build a ship for low sec, you always have to have PvP in mind. You can't really go and use a battleship all the time for everything because battleships are slow, big, very easy targets. And I think based on the Mech Attack series that I do with the Macarial, I think it's pretty obvious that battleships are the one ship class that gets yeeted the most in low sec because they're so easy to catch. It's really so easy to catch these ships, and it's unbelievable. And that's why I personally prefer to run fast, mobile ships that are very hard to tackle. It's really difficult to catch a Phantasm. From my personal experience with the Stratos that is built for tackling ships, the one ship that slips out the most in my case is a Phantasm. Mostly because the Stratos is slow, and most of the Phantasm pilots that I did engage knew what they were doing. And when I look back and some of the videos that I did and at some of the footage that I had while engaging this ship, a pilot who knows how to fly the Phantasm is basically untouchable with any tackle ship. Again, if they're only not careful, the Vigilants and Serpentis ships can't catch them and tackle them, but any other ordinary ship, it's really difficult. Especially if you want to be stealthy. Because if you mess up the warp in, the cruiser can easily warp out and you will miss the target. That's why the Stratios tackle remains the best tackle ship. However, it's quite difficult to tackle subships with the Stratios. Now, the Phantasm is also one of those ships that is really good to be used in the Nihilus dead space sites because of its tank speed and overall afterburn bonus makes it perfect for speed tanking. So I think in one of the next videos I will be clearing a Nihilus dead space site with the Phantasm for cruisers. Those are really fun, but I personally haven't been doing a lot of them recently, mostly because, well, I'm not really a PvE pilot, but I like to help. I really like to help players who do PvE. Because after, blowing up like, I don't know, 30,000 ships or something, I came to a conclusion that most of the ships that are very easy to catch have a poor build. So I really like to give some really nice builds out there that players can use. And I can tell you again from personal experience, my own builds are kicking my butt every time I engage someone that uses a build that I show on YouTube or that someone asks me for, and they basically equip the same rigs, the same modules. I have so many issues to counter my own build. It's funny. Basically, what some of my friends said, I'm not helping myself with giving you really good builds, but I don't mind. If it means a good fight, then I think it's worth it. And of course, if it means that I can help, then that's even more important, because I really like to help out. Okay, well, slowly clearing out all of the waves here. I'm not really sure what wave this is, but the capacitor on this ship is so far quite stable. Now I'm going keep it range on purpose, because I want to be taking as much damage as possible, just to see how much damage I'll be taking from all of these ships. And so far, I'm really happy with the tank. Again, many of you would say, yes, this looks like a little bit of an overkill on the tank, but if you get tackled, then the extra tank is actually really helpful. And most hunters out there are usually solo hunters or small fleets, up to 1 or 2 or even 3 players. And a build like this, with a skilled piloting the ship, will be very difficult to catch and very difficult to kill. And so far, that theory is, I would say, running smoothly so far. The ship is performing as expected. Now, I also did plan to show you another different build with dual large shield boosters. Now, that build is ridiculously tanky, but it will probably suffer in the speed department just a little bit, because I would have to fit a little bit more of the power grid auxiliary rigs just to be able to fit 2 large boosters, and the overall combat rigs will remain the same, about the same, but you have to sacrifice 1 adaptive, so that means you have to make the ship a bit more, well, a bit more tanky with rigs. So that build is in some cases better than this one, but in some other cases might not be a good idea to use it. Although surprisingly, that build was really cap stable with the appropriate integration setup. Okay, I just had to go and look at the rigs just to be sure that I'm not saying anything wrong here. So with 4P combat rig integrations, if you focus on resistance and shield boost and out, and capacitor, and the rig that reduces the booster capacitor usage with 1 large capacitor battery, you could actually use dual adapters with that one. So that means next time when I decide to record the Phantasm, I'll be showing you that build. I don't want to spoil much. So I will go and show you that next time. Should be a pretty interesting build. That's mostly a PvP build, not for missions, but for PvP. For heavy tackle, that ship was used with triple scrabbers as a heavy tackle against high DPS battleship. Okay, the implant is at 180%. Everything is so far running smooth. Now the problem that you might have with the focus crystal implant is sometimes if you have the auto fire option enabled, the ship will fire at something that's outside of the laser range and it will miss. When it misses, then the implant is going to be reset at 0. Okay, 4 out of 4. This is the last wave. And as you can see, I misclicked unfortunately and I wasted the implant, so that means I'll have to recharge the implant again with the secondary attribute. Now, usually when I was running the missions, I would focus down the small ships first. Basically focus down the destroyers, frigates that carry webs, scramblers, and after you finish the small ships, you go and start eating the larger ones, cruisers and battle cruisers, and I like to leave the battleships for the end. First I like to clear the field of all the small ships that are easy to kill, and then I go and eat the big ones. That's how I used to run missions, and I believe that's the safe way to do it. I know in a lot of situations players told me how the tackle pirate frigate or destroyer goes under the guns of a battleship sniper, and the player can kill them, and eventually they get tackled by a player or the other NPC ships kill them. That's why it's very important to focus down the small ships first. And after that you can focus on the larger ships. Now in some cases the elite ships would be cruisers, would be battle cruisers, and they also can be quite fast and they can be quite nasty. I know the Angel or Devil storyline mission has a stubber going 5 kilometers per second. That's, I believe, one of the next storylines that I will do with. I will see with what ship, because I have decided to show you how these missions look, how they work, and a good opportunity to actually show you the ship build in action, how it works in such a scenario. Now you might be wondering what I'm also doing while recording this. I'm actually flying the Revelation now. Flying the Revelation and trying to align myself. And about to go take the Apocalypse Striker, actually, because why not? I have some plans. I have to change the rigs on a lot of ships. My Apocalypse Striker has to go and get new combat rigs. No, not combat rigs, engineering rigs. Need faster lock-on time for what I do. But overall I'm very happy with that. Okay, well, the last wave of the first part is running out of ships. 12 ships left. So far, I am really happy with the tank on this, and I'm very surprised by the capacitor's ability. Now, usually, if you have good skills, if you know to save capacitor, then the number that you see on the fitting window that shows like 3 minutes or 5 minutes is usually not as accurate as you might expect. In the hands of a good pilot that knows how to spare the capacitor, that knows how to the capacitor will last for a very long time. So the number that you see on the fitting window on the capacitor is not usually the whole story. In most cases you don't have to boost the shield at all times. However, it will be interesting to see how will this ship perform when I fight the last wave in part 2 of Sweet Poison. Because still this is the last wave of part 1, after part 1 there is part 2, and part 2 also has about 4 waves. I think it used to be 5 waves, but the developers changed that at some point. No idea when it happened, but it used to be 5 waves, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I don't want to say false things, so if I'm wrong, please do correct me. Not ashamed to be wrong about something. It happens. I mean, I'm human after all, so I do make mistakes from time to time. However, this is something that I don't talk about usually, but when I make a mistake and I see that mistake when I watch my own video later on, I'm very pissed usually. I'm pissed at myself for actually making the mistake. And next time when I encounter that particular moment, well, I'm quite strict on myself regarding that, because I don't like to be false, even if it's by accident, you know. I want to be as accurate as possible, and if I do get something wrong, well, my apologies. And so, of course, welcome to correct me, because it's not a big shame to be wrong about something. Okay, well, this is part 2, and things are about to be interesting. Now, I've heard that part 2 might be a bit dangerous, so we're about to find that out. And I see that I got webbed and scrambled right on the start. Okay, hope that the tank holds. Now, as you can see so far, I was able to slip out of the webs quite easily, and 2.8 kilometers per second might be an overkill in velocity. So I did adjust that to about 1.4, 1.6 kilometers per second with the afterburner. That is to improve tracking, and when you get webbed and when your ship is starting to take a lot of damage, you can easily just change the speed. When you get webbed, you just increase the speed so that you can continue speed tanking. And the Phantasm, like I said before, is really nice on the speed tanking part. One of the best speed tanking cruisers in the game. I know that the Sandbox can also do that, but the Phantasm with the afterburner speed bonus, it's a lot better. So, a perfect cruiser for missions, and also could be a really good ship for PvP. I was flying so many cruisers that I'm actually starting to slowly miss the Phantasm, and I'm slowly starting to fly the cruisers again a lot more often, because, well, why not? I have ideas that I want to try out with my ships, and there's a chance that I will bring the Phantasm back for PvP. I have about 44 kills on the Phantasm, and all of the kills made of like 3 years ago on the Phantasm that I lost. After I lost the Phantasm, I went and bought myself a Cinnaball that also died to gate guns, and after the Cinnaball I was flying the Yashimo, then back at the Cinnaball again, and then the Ortus. And now, what cruiser do I fly again? Stratius and Cinnaball. Those are my primary cruisers. It's fun how things change in the game. It's been a really wild ride so far, honestly. I enjoyed every second of the game. There has been some bumpy rides here and there, but overall, I think it's still one of the best games that I've played so far in a very long time. And really cannot wait for the future updates. They seem to be quite promising. This is still the first wave. Okay. And yes, I actually feel more comfortable in a cruiser than a battleship. Flying battleships, I don't know, I still feel quite uncomfortable flying those things. I don't like really slow ships. I know how to fly them now, but I still feel like it's really not the ship for me. I have some pretty successful battleships so far. I made a lot of them, and they're pretty good, but I don't know, it's not the ship. It's definitely not the ship's fault. It's more of my personal palette preference, because I started the game with fast ships, with cruisers. And cruisers are basically the excellent middle ground for missions, for encounters, for exploration, for PvP. They're middle ground for everything. And with a cruiser you can do everything basically. There is no limit to what a cruiser can do. You can run tier 10 storylines, tier 8 storylines, tier 6. You can run exploration, you can run dead space sites with it. You can run PvP. Basically, whatever you want to do, you probably can do it with a cruiser. Except the capital stuff. The capital stuff is something that I'm personally not that interested in. Although I find Revelation, but you know, the Revelation is a PvP ship, that's what I use it for. But cruisers are the perfect middle ground for everything. Destroyers can also be used like that, but I'm not a fan of destroyers. And frigates. Frigates can also surprisingly be very, very nice for missions. I have a friend who used to run tier 10 storylines with a Dramiel. And yes, no one ever scanned that ship. You can't really catch a Dramiel that easily. So it's really up to the player what they make of the ship in the end. Battleships might have higher DPS, but at the same time battleships are more risky to fly. And well, as we all could see on the Macarial Rome videos, we kill a lot of battleships there to run missions. And you might guess why. You might guess why. They might look like the best option. Well, in the end, it's not really the case. What's the point in clearing the tier 10 storyline in 10 minutes when you get jumped and eaten in like 30 seconds when you enter the mission? With a cruiser, you can even get a scan notification with cruisers very easily, because most scanners that I've noticed don't really have that good scanning skills, and most of them run the scanner on a cover-top ship that will alert a Phantasm or any other faction cruiser. I have like the scanning skills on level 5 on the Ortus, and it still was really difficult to catch ships without a dedicated tackle ship, and the dedicated tackle ship might have a problem to catch this thing because it's so fast. So in the end, cruisers end up being very fun for this job. And I was inspired to actually try this out by one of my friends who uses cruisers for storylines, and he is eating anything that tries to engage him. It's fun, it's hilarious. So it really depends on the player what you can do. Okay, last ship, my apologies, not the last wave. There's still one more wave to clear. Okay, 22 ships. Well, I would say that the mission became a little bit easier than it used to be. Perhaps I'm just doing something wrong, I don't know. I lost the implant, whoops. Oh well. Let me focus down the tackle ships first. I got double webbed, but still enough speed to speed tank even at 56% of maximum velocity. And it's actually a lot more fun to do this with a cruiser. It's more exciting, honestly. One way not to fall asleep is by running this with a cruiser. I know I joked about this a lot, but it's based on a true story. I fall asleep if I run missions, and that's not a joke. That's something that happens. That's something that happens quite often if I decide to run missions. Every time that you see me run missions with the Macarial, there's a big chance that I'm asleep inside of the mission. In high sec, of course. I don't run the encounters in low sec. Because of the sleeping part, I would fall asleep and I would just sit there for hours. That's quite fun. But yes, I do fall asleep running missions. So yeah, I guess I'm not perfect, that's normal. However, running a cruiser in a storyline mission like this is, yeah, I'm not going to fall asleep running this, that's for sure. The ship did hold out really well so far. The shield holds really well, the capacitor is pretty stable. The speed is really good so far. And I'm pretty sure other cruisers can do this exactly the same. I will have to try this with the Cinnabon. I know a lot of you did ask me to make a PvE Cinnabon build. I will do that. No, don't worry, I will do that. And I'm actually very curious to see how that will go, because the Cinnabon has higher DPS. The Cinnabon has higher DPS, but it's not as tanky and it's not as fast. So you do get extra DPS, but at the same time you also trade the speed and tank for that extra DPS, which honestly shouldn't be a big problem. However, the ship might behave a little bit differently. We will see. We will see. I know the Cinnabon uses a armor tank for the Amar mission, but uses a shield tank for the other missions, because the Amar ships don't do much damage on armors, because lasers hit shields, but they are not that good against armors, unless it's a revelation. Then that will eat you in like one hit. But that depends from ship to ship in the end, so not really a accurate comparison. Okay, well, orbiting at 17 kilometers. Now I set the orbit to be on 17 just because that's about the optimal range on the pulse threaders on their ship, and that's also about the optimal range on the large Nosferatu. It has a 19 kilometer range with the efficiency general unit. The web and scrambler is mainly as defense, while the Nosferatu is going to be more important, because the Nosferatu will replenish your capacitor in the longer run for the shield booster. And I just missed a Myrmidon on hull while playing on the main game. Oh my god. The Myrmidon escaped a low hull. GG. Okay, that's my apologies for the weird silence. I was a little bit busy on the other screen here. So slowly finishing up with this mission. Oh, wave 4 out of 4. Well, this is where things get real. 32 ships. Okay, that's a lot of ships, and I'll nosedive right in the midst of that. Let me go and focus the small ships first. The smaller ships will be the primary target, the medium ships secondary, and the last targets would be the big boats. Okay, it's a good thing that the small ships rush my position. It makes it very easy to separate them from the other main fleet. So far the tank holds really well. I'm slipping out of the webs quite efficiently, even at... I swapped the 100% velocity now, just in case. I did not know what to expect, so if I get webbed by 8 ships, I still have about 800 meters per second velocity. Which is still, you know, pretty solid, and it should be really nice. Okay, it's not as dangerous as I thought that it would be, but I still work on eliminating all the small ships. The tank and the capacitor holds really well. Okay, I think I am clearing out all the small ships with the next couple kills here. The shield holding incredibly well. I'm very happy with the tank on this ship. there is something that I know how to do in this game, it's to make a very tanky ship. Doesn't matter if it's a cruiser, battleship or dreadnought. The build that I make is usually a brick, and I love it. Okay. Next cruiser. I think I cleared all the small ships out. Oh, I guess I was wrong. There's one small ship over there. Most of these, as you can see, there's a lot of these ships are actually a logistic ship. They are repairing the other pirate ships that are inside of this red bubble of ships, which is very interesting. There is a lot of things going on the screen here, but they are armor repairing that one ship. Changing velocity to 1.5, 1.6 kilometers per second. Multitasking here, I love it. Playing Eve on 2 devices, and I'm still kinda worried about the Phantasm because I wanna lose it. I will have to go all the way back to get a new one just to go and finish the mission. But I believe in the build, I believe in the tank, so it should be good. Now I have to just check some nanocores out real quick. Not really sure what's going to be my next nanocore. I don't really have a plan. I don't really have like a goal with the nanocores at the current moment. Not really. I have everything I need basically. I run some ships without a nanocore and still doing well, so I don't really need to get nanocores. But we will see. I know that the, what was it called, the glacier nanocore, that nanocore is just broken. I think that nanocore is on par with the Deathwish nanocore in terms of how stupid the effect and how stupid overpowered it actually is. I don't like the nanocores that are a one-click escape button, honestly. Stuff like that does kind of ruin the game. But hey, what can you do about it? Unfortunately. Well then, I cleared this storyline, and well, that was actually, I would say, fairly easy. Didn't waste a lot of time. Recording this was surprisingly fairly fast, and personally, I expected at least that I'd spend like 3 or 4 hours on this, but as you could see here, it was surprisingly quick. So, that was the Phantasm with this very interesting and I would say a very good build. I personally like it. It seems to be working really well. It's quite tanky. It also has some really nice DPS. So with that being said, hope that you enjoyed. Hope that you like the build that I show you here. If you want to support me, then you can like and subscribe for more builds. You can recommend me what kind of ship you want to see here. I'm going to be recording all the ships that you want me to record without a problem. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.